one beyond my wildest dreams. Maybe that road could have carried me to streets of gold. Things aren't always as they seem. Looking back on all the chances that I missed, some I held, some slipped away. One street over where my memories exist, I wondered what would change, I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known would have kept me from the one I had today.
Good morning. How you doing, Robertson County? This is 1100 WSGI. I'm Yusha Laverne. This is One Street Over. And oh my goodness, we're heading back to school today. Now the teachers, we went on Friday. We had an in-service day. But kiddos will be back out there. So I say this to say buses are back out. And just want to really remind you, my husband's the safety coordinator for the buses. And, don't forget those kids are out there. You wouldn't believe how many people just go blowing by those stop signs. When those stop signs are out on these buses, guys, stop. You're putting these kids at risk, and that's our most precious treasure. And remember how if you're going down Highway 41, Highway 431, those you have to stop. Even if you're in a 5-lane situation, unless there's a median or some kind of a barrier there, you have to stop. So please watch out for those kiddos. We've got school back in session today. Lee Marie wants to remind you that you got the TFA potluck tonight at 6 p.m. over at the American Legion Hall in Greenbrier. So please go out and join them for the TFA potluck tonight, 6 p.m. They always have a great time. It's a great group of people. And we do have a guest that's going to be in with us via telephone. If you know me, you know that Omar Hamada is just one of my favorite people. He is truly a Renaissance man. He is a combat war veteran. He is a doctor. He's an amazing guy, musician. He is such a cool guy. And I love talking to him. And we normally would have John Rose on today, but we have a new representative. That is Dr. Mark Green, and I've got to reach out to them and get him on schedule to start coming on. Hopefully we're going to be able to get that same kind of thing going. John's been so kind to us as our representative here, and now we have Dr. Green, and we're excited about that because he's an awesome guy too. I don't know him, not even met him yet, so I'm looking forward to bringing him on the show. But with everything that happened with the speaker and all that, I wanted to talk to somebody that stayed plugged into the political scene, and Omar has done that. So he's going to be calling me here in just a couple of minutes, but I got to real quickly kind of unpack something, and I'll talk more about this as we go on. But we started a Bible reading plan at Bethlehem Baptist Church, and Rachel Culver, she comes on the show at least once a month. We have her on more if we can, but she has started this Bible reading plan, and so we're going to unpack it for you. If you look at the the feed, the recording that we've got on the WSGI page, you'll see that I put in the comments Genesis 1-7 and Psalms 1 and 2. And the reason why I put that in there, if you'll read those, you'll be up with us on the yearly reading plan, because it started yesterday. So Genesis 1 through, and if you want to stay up to date, go 1-7 in Genesis and Psalms 1 and 2, and you'll be up to date on us. And as I have time, when I don't have a guest in here, I'll talk a little bit more about some of the nuances of this Bible reading plan. It's just an awesome one. And I've tried several times to sit down and read the Bible from cover to cover, and I read it all the time. I mean, I'm always in Scripture, but to sit down and just really pour through it is something I've really wanted to do, and so I'm really trying again to do it. And I'm so ADD, I have a very hard time sticking with it. So I'm going to try it again this year. And if you want to do that with us, you'll be up to date if you read Genesis 1-7 today and Psalms 1 and 2. And I know that's 7 chapters, but you can do it. You can do it. And that'll catch you up, because we did 1-3 yesterday and 4-7 today. And then I'll kind of continue to unpack it. But I'm going to put that up. When I put up the names and everything on the WSGI feed, if you want to go to the WSGI page, you're going to see that in the comments. I'll try to put that into mine. It's a little different way that I have to start the program, so sometimes I don't get all that plugged into the comments, but I will do my best. And you can get this list. We can send this list to you digitally if you want to stay up to date with us on what we're doing, reading through the Bible. And I'm doing that with the ladies ministry over at Bethlehem Baptist, and just dear friends, Rachel Culver. I was out there for that kickoff on Saturday, and it was just wonderful. And they're also doing a study with Christy McClellan I want to tell you about. That's going to start up on Tuesdays here pretty soon, but I've got Omar Hamada about to join us here. He's calling in right now. So let's see if we can't bring him up. Omar, are you with me?
I'm with you.
Oh, brother. So glad. I'm just kind of unpacking for everybody. We're starting to read through the Bible through the year. And so we're getting that going, and we're going to do that we're not going to read it on air, but I'm going to give the scriptures every morning that where we are to get people to kind of guide through it with us. And it's going to be a lot of fun. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
Well, I am so thrilled that
It's going to be a great year.
I know it's going to be. You've had a lot of changes. And for people who do not know Omar, he is just, I described you as a Renaissance man, because you truly are. And I mean, number one, at the very, very top of the list is the fact that you are a combat war veteran. You were a special ops medic, and have served, I mean, am I right? Did I get that?
I was I was a Special Forces Battalion surgeon and diving medical officer.
See, and that's the thing. I always forget all the details. I'm not, but it's just, you're one of our heroes, and you've served and served again and again, and you're a doctor, you're, all the things. You're a musician, you're a gifted speaker, you're a theologian, you are a Renaissance man, and I love you, and I just, I'm so excited for the things I see coming up in your future. So, with all that said, I want to say, too, now you're working right now, so you may get called away to a phone call, right? While we're talking?
Exactly. So I'm actually doing some virtual health coverage with a company that I've been working for almost 20 years, Team Health.
Okay.
They just launched this a couple of years ago. So, I'm getting calls from about 20 different states. Hopefully we'll have some time to talk through some stuff, but if I get one, I'll tell you. And I'll have to just step away for just a minute.
Okay, well, very good. So that's what we're dealing with. I just want to kind of unpack for the audience what's going on. So we've got Omar on the phone, but I had since we don't have John on, and I haven't established the relationship yet with Mark Green. You know Dr. Green, don't you?
Yeah, we're good friends.
Well, see, you need to tell him I'm going to be calling him.
Good, I sure will. We've served in similar situations and had similar experiences, and we share a lot of colleagues between us.
Right. Absolutely. Well, he's our representative now, and because we got redistricted, and so I had really great relationship with John Rose, and so I've got to establish that relationship with Dr. Green, and I just have not done it yet. And so I thought, who can I call that can kind of update us on what in the world is going on with the House? Why did it take so long to get a speaker? Because I'm not political anymore. I don't know if you know, I've really stepped away from that. Doesn't mean I don't engage. I mean, I do my duty, but I'm not in the political fray anymore, and I just don't stay up to date with it per se all the nuances of it. And I know a lot of people have a lot of questions. So can you kind of unpack for us what happened and what's kind of going on in regards to the new, we have a new speaker, I know, but kind of give us a review if you don't mind.
Well, first, let me say that I think that's very wise of you to step away, because it's a circus, and it's not a kind one, and
Yeah.
it's become something that is very difficult to navigate. And we wonder why people get turned off. But I mean, as we know, over the past few years, it's gotten very hostile and not very bipartisan, and not very easy, even within one's own party, as we saw, right? So I think one thing that I've seen, and I think this is, kind of important to note, a lot of people were upset that there were so many holdouts, and it took, 15 votes to elect McCarthy as Speaker, especially some of the, I don't want to, and some of the more establishment types, right?
Yeah.
And here's the thing that I think was very important to recognize. One, we saw our process at work in an amazing way, and I think it was a great exercise, even though it was the first time since like 1859 or something that we've had this much difficulty electing a Speaker of the House. The GOP, the way it is just as corrupt as the Democratic Party. And there are a lot of things that happen. We say that the reason we are where we are is because of where Congress puts us. So I think demanding better is not just something that's good to do. I think it's our responsibility. And I think those holdouts that demanded better in many ways were doing what we sent them there to do. Absolutely. And here's why. The GOP can't really accomplish anything legislatively while the Dems control the Senate and the White House. So oversight is really the only power that we have for the next couple of years. McCarthy wanted rules for the House that would have effectively made him in control of all the oversight investigations and total control of all subpoenas, and no power to anyone but the committee chairs that he appointed who swore allegiance to him. The issue was that and I don't want to, I hate to use this term because there were real conservatives that supported him, but I think, the ultra conservatives, let's say, didn't trust McCarthy, and maybe still don't, because they knew that he was likely to quash all serious investigations. And to accomplish anything, the House really needed vastly revised rules and a trustworthy speaker. There was really no rush to get on with our legislative agenda that, we've got to address these issues, right now, because they're killing us. Because what's killing us is our foundation. What's killing us is that so many in Congress aren't really living up to what we sent them there to do. And what's killing us is that our country, even though maybe the GOP would slow the drift to the left and the falling off the cliff, they're not stopping it and reversing it. Because many times, everybody's a human, and we want to protect what we have, our position, our job, etc. So we sort of go along to get along. But we need people who are going to stand up and say, forget it. I don't care if I'm here for 2 years or 10 years. What I'm going to do is what I need to do to save the country, not my own rear end, right? So there's no real rush to get along with to get on with the legislative agenda, because nothing will get passed. And here's why: nothing will get passed through the Senate or signed by the president, because the Democratic Party controls that portion of Congress as well as the presidency of the White House. So taking the time to get it right, to do oversight well, was the right thing to do. I think the Republicans were being very smart. There were a lot of people qualified to be Speaker, but that mess sort of a debate on the House floor is something that we frankly should see more of. Not stalemates and stagnation, but people saying, this isn't right, we want to get it right. So with all that said, I feel like the process was great. I feel we ended up with, McCarthy is the Speaker now, and we need to fall behind him and align do what the Dems do well, and that is stick together in a good way. So, but now we have some rules of the House that are in order that, of course, he didn't want, but he had to concede to get the position he wanted. So I think it was a good thing.
Well, just listening to you kind of unpack it, though, it's one of the reasons why I just, and I think most people that watch it, we're just so frustrated with the fact that we know nothing's going to get done for 2 years, and while we hope that, as you said, there are some new rules established that, will help, direct the House a little bit better, it is still, I don't know. It's one of the reasons why I've just kind of. There's a preacher I follow, and he says, if it's not yours, if it's not within your power to affect it or change it, then, or if it's not within your power to affect it or influence it, it's not your responsibility. So I can't do anything about that. So it's not my responsibility anymore. So I'm gonna quit worrying about it, and I'm gonna trust God on it, right? So that's why a lot of people have really, like myself, just turned it all off, and we're just like, oh, we got a new speaker, okay, And so are you? I don't get that you're real fired up about him as speaker, but are you? Where are you completely on that? Because I kind of got a little bit of a mixed message from you there on McCarthy.
Yeah, I'm not. I think a lot of people aren't real fired up about him because, he's been there, 14 years? And,
yeah.
He's, I think, seen as not really trusted because seen as more establishment and things like that. So I have a dog that's getting a little crazy, so I'm gonna keep talking, but I'm gonna put him up.
Okay, you're fine. You're fine. We know we're catching you. We're catching you. In the middle of about 5 or 6 things. You're a busy guy, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, but in answer to your question, I don't really. I'm not as fired up with him as I would be about someone else, for example. I'm not in Congress, and I don't know what happens behind the scenes, but I'd be more fired up about someone like Mark Green, or someone like Jim Jordan, or someone that I know that I can trust. Well, one, because I know them, right? But two, because I trust their conservatism, their character. And I know Mark well enough to say he's going to do what he says he's going to do, and he's not going to compromise.
Well, and we get we're all excited about having Dr. Green represent us. We're excited about being in that district. As much as we hate to see John's crew leave Robertson County, we're thrilled to have Dr. Green's crew in here because we know we're going to have just as awesome representation. So, with all that said, with the redistricting and things like that, what's your thoughts on that and the way everything was redistricted and in the way the House is falling right now as far as representation and Nashville being all split up? Do you have any thoughts on that? And I didn't propose that to you ahead of time, so I hope I'm not putting you on the spot.
No, that's fine. It happened. And we are where we are, and right now I think it's a good thing. I think the danger is that as more people come into Nashville proper, more of them, I think, will be more Democratic, so there's a risk for the 7th to lean more blue. And over the years, there's a risk that we might lose it. And I think that was Congressman Green's concern initially as well. But the positive side of that right now is that we've taken a district that has been blue, the 5th. Not the 5th, but Nashville, what the previous congressman had, and it's been blue since right after the Civil War, I believe.
Right.
So we took something that's been blue for 150 years and turned it red. So from that aspect, I think that was a great win.
Okay. Well, and I tell you what, I'm going to take a break and let you do you need to take a break here, or are you good?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay, well, good deal. We're talking with Dr. Omar Hamada. What are you doing now? Now you're working with this this home call system, and I forget it. You had been an ER doctor, so where are you professionally right now? Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good question. I am still a doctor.
Well, of course, absolutely.
Yeah. But one thing I'm doing is that, though I'm still doing some ER, I'm doing some labor and delivery as well. But what I'm doing is working with a few stars and as a chief medical officer.
And say that again, you broke up.
Now.
What was that last part? You're working with, go ahead, because you broke up
As a
there.
chief, with a few startups as a chief medical officer.
Okay.
And one of those we do hormone and cryo and some other things trying to get people in a better shape. Another is superhuman IV. We do IV hydration and NAD for anti-aging and even a little bit of ketamine here and there for depression, PTSD, things like that.
Okay.
And a couple others that I'm working with. But the other thing is I'm trying to finish up a couple of books this year, and
awesome.
I've launched my own private concierge practice, so I see patients myself again all over the country.
Okay. Well, see, and that's the thing, and you are all over the country because your love's down in Texas, right? So she's still
and she is.
Yes, she is, and just excited for you in that regard too. She's an interesting lady in herself, so we won't get too much into that unless you want to. But those of us who love you,
I'm fine with whatever questions you have.
Well, who does she work for? I mean, because she, talk a little bit about who she works with.
Yeah, so I'll just give you a quick snippet.
Yeah.
Her late husband was the first Solicitor General of Texas when John Cornyn was Attorney General. And after him, Ted Cruz followed him as Solicitor General. And I'm not an attorney, so I didn't really understand the difference, but from what I understand, the Solicitor General is the one who basically is over the appellate courts, like appeals, and represents the state in front of the Supreme Court of the United States. He was an attorney that clerked under Justice Clarence Thomas. And he was killed in a plane crash about 12 years ago, along with her mom and uncle. So all of a sudden, the Thomases adopted her, kind of, and she has a good relationship with them and basically runs Justice Thomas's cleric alumni group that meets every 3 years at someplace in the United States, and then also helps run and administrate Ginny Thomas's grassroots groups. There are a couple there that she works on, and she's done some campaign stuff for Chip Roy, who's a representative, U.S. representative in Austin, Texas. So that's kind of what she does, and along with her 3 sons and their kids. So she's a grandma now and loves that part of life too.
Well, and it's so fun because I can't imagine a more suitable person for you when I hear her resume. And when you started telling all of us about her, we're like, oh, of course, of course y'all met, And I mean, it's just like you just see God in people's lives, and I see you guys unpack stuff on social media, and that's where I see most everything, and I just get so tickled because I'm like, man, God's all over that, and it's just fun to watch when He just shows up and shows out in lives, and just and restores them.
It's amazing because I've never been in a relationship where like this where I felt well, let's just say it's a very unique relationship, and I'm grateful and thankful that we've met.
Well, and your friends who love you are grateful and thankful that God brought y'all together too, because y'all are super cute, and it's just that's kind of things I like on social media is when I see all these happy things, and and this I just kind of turn the page on the political, but I do encourage you guys to, even if you're like me and you've turned it off, do not turn it off. It's our responsibility to vote and be involved, and that's the one thing that I have seen, Omar, is that I need to get more involved locally, and that is where I've put my energy, is in what's going on locally. And I'm teaching. I don't know if you know, I'm teaching full time now, and I'm a high school teacher at Greenbrier High School in Robertson County.
Fantastic.
And I got to get you to come in and talk to my kids. That's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
We talked a little bit about that. We did have some conversations prior to the holidays, but because the opportunity to pour into young people I'm so excited about in so many ways. And I would love to have you come in and talk to them sometime. But I know you're pretty busy on with all the things. Do you have any plans to run for political office? I mean, is that something you're comfortable talking about? I've always thought you were such a wonderful candidate. And
I keep praying about it. And I don't think the Lord's opened that door yet. I almost jumped into the race for the 5th. And I was on shows with several people during that time trying to make those decisions. I pulled papers. I never filed because I was going back and forth with Andy. We're good friends. And I felt like we were, in my opinion at the time, I felt like we were the only two true conservatives, like staunch conservatives running that. So I wanted it to be either me or him. So I kept telling him, if you don't jump in, I'm going to. And he kept saying, I'm not sure. And then he finally said, I'm going to. And I'm like, dude, you better, because I'm about to. So when he made that decision, I thought, you know what, I'm going to let him take it, and I'm not going to run against him, and I'm going to throw all my support behind him. So I'm glad he's there.
Well, and I get that.
But
Because,
so in the future, so in the future, I don't know. I mean, I'm not really interested in, and you and I have had this discussion. I'm not really interested in county level, local politics, and I feel like my desire isn't to be a politician. It's to affect change and get our country back where I feel like we've gone so wrong on so many levels, including within our own party. We can't even get along within our own party. So my desire is, I feel like if I'm going to do anything, it won't be a local or countywide office. It'll be something different.
it'll be
Like
on a
federal.
national. Yes. Well, it's like when I ran for Congress, everybody's like, so you're not going to run for, something local? And I said, I don't feel called to that. And I truly stepped into what I felt God calling me to. I didn't do that well, but I was faithful. And it opened doors that I wasn't, honestly, I don't know that I would know you. As well as I do.
Sure.
There's so many relationships that I don't know would have opened up had I not stepped into that. And so I don't try to go, well, what were you trying to do, Lord? I'm just waiting for him to show me all the pieces and the parts, and part of it I may not see until I get home and look down and go, oh, okay, I'll see what you did there. So, and that's cool. And I'm like, go ahead. Yeah.
And that's not the ultimate goal anyway, right? The ultimate goal for me is, I was talking to my kids through goal setting yesterday for the year, and what's our purpose here? And I feel like my purpose is to know God and to make Him known. And
Amen.
So and then if that's part of the story, then great. And if it's not, then I'm not too worried about it.
Absolutely. That's that's one thing. I don't know. Do you still have up on your Facebook page a Slave for Christ? That's always been on yours.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Explain that to
Give me a
people.
hard
Because I love it. And I explain it for you, but why don't you explain it?
Yeah.
Since, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I think, it's, so just quickly, it's going to be a little crazy. So I think spiritually, we're all slaves, right? We're all enslaved. Whether it is, I think we don't have a choice as to whether or not we're slaves. We have a choice as to who our master is. And either we're slaves to sin and death, or we're slaves to Christ. And if we're slaves to Christ, He gives us freedom, and He calls us His brothers and sisters. We're co-heirs with Him. It's different than the slavery that we experience if we don't follow Him. So that's basically it.
I got you. Talking with Omar Hamada. He is my friend, and I should have flipped over here to your Facebook page and sent it, because that way I would have gotten the whole rundown. He is a Slave for Christ, father, paratrooper, physician, surgeon, theologian, musician, writer, and entrepreneur, and I love him. He is my friend, and so thankful that he's given me some of his time. I do need to go ahead and take a break, Omar. So give me just a minute, and we'll get right back with you. Are you still with me? Are you
I'm
still
still
with
with
me? Okay. All right. Well, we'll get
Yep.
back to Omar in
Yeah.
just a moment, but I do need to pause and talk about Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Center. Open right now. They're well, not at this moment. You got to wait until 10 o'clock. That's what they're opening right now. They've got their hours have changed just a bit because it's in the colder winter months. So they're there 10 to 4, Monday through Saturday, and then on Sunday they're there from 1 to 4. Great friends of this program. One of our longtime sponsors. And what do they do during the winter? Well, right now is the time for you to get over there and start planning your spring garden. If you go to their Facebook page, wonderful places to stay completely up to date on what is going on with them and what you need to be doing to make sure your garden's ready to go. If you're going to plant cold weather vegetables, we're talking next month. We're talking weeks away from really getting that stuff in the ground. You need to be getting your garden ready. Go and talk to Amy about it, and she can get you schooled on exactly what you need to do. But some of this lettuces and things like that, they need the cold weather. So you got to get them in the ground very, very early. You can go by 4920 Highway 161 in Springfield and talk to her all about it. If you want to give her a call, 615-384-3185. While you're there, stroll through the greenhouse, see what they've got beautiful to bring into your home until things start growing outside again. And also talk to her about the CBD products that they produce that are made from Robertson County plants grown right here in our county. That's what I used to help me with my arthritis. My hip replacement doctor put me onto it. I thought it was snake oil, and I found out it's really helped me tremendously, and it may be a game changer for you. So right now is a really good time to go and talk to Amy, Miss Jane, and all of them about the CBD products that they often offer there at Corbin Creek Greenhouse and Gifts and Gardening Center. Again, they're open Monday through Saturday from 10 to 4, Sunday from 1 to 4. And when you speak with them, always please let them know that U-Turn sent you. I want to get back to my friend, Dr. Omar Hamada. And so where do you want to go next, my friend? Oh, there you are. I turned up the wrong thing, brother. My goodness, about blasting the day out. Go for it.
It's up to you. We can talk about anything. I mean, I always love talking about politics, medicine, price, COVID, abortion. I mean, you name it.
Well, since
I'm going to talk about whatever you want to talk about.
One thing that occurred to me this morning, and I kind of like to hear your take on it. You came really nationally notable whenever you tweeted something about our unborn children and the expectancy of basically there's absolutely no reason for a third trimester abortion. And the President Trump at the time retweeted it, right? Is that how that all went down?
Yeah, a lot of people did. I mean, from Rush spoke about it, and I was, can you believe that's been 4 years ago?
I know. And here's the fullness of that question that I want to propose to you. Not just necessarily looking at that, but what are your thoughts on Twitter now? With the, all the, and I'm assuming everything that's happened with Elon is still going on because I hadn't really paid a whole lot of attention to it. But what are your thoughts about all of that with the Twitter war and all that happened? Because I know that's where that was your platform to, have people share your message. So where are you on all that? Have you got any thoughts?
Yeah, of course, yeah, definitely. I always have thoughts. Twitter at the time was a dumpster fire, and it's not something that I used frequently. I mainly Facebook, and I still do. That's sort of my platform of choice for now, but I think at some point I'm even going to change that and maybe just have a website because it's getting just as bad as Twitter was in some ways. But I got hit pretty hard by the left on Twitter with threats and of delicensing and reporting and complaints and all that. I had people go online and submit, people I didn't even know, and submit false patient reports about me.
Are you kidding?
No.
Oh my gosh.
To take down my, every doctor gets, you can go online and score your doctor and give them 1 to 5 stars and ruin the reputation or increase it. So I had many go online and just say false things and, give me 1 star and trying to ruin my reputation and all. But then I was able to, some of my real patients came to my rescue when they saw what was happening. But now I think Twitter is becoming a more stable platform that will allow more freedom of speech regardless of political leanings, whereas before I think it was primarily a platform that would support leftist ideologies and suppress conservative thought. So hopefully now we're seeing it swing back to the other side, which has been interesting because I've had a lot of, as we've all seen people leaving the platform left and right, not right politically, but because now they can't go on and just be unobstructed in their destruction. So,
Well, and so that is one thing, and I have not really ventured into it. I've had I've gone on a couple of times and tried to figure it out, and I don't know. It just I'm like you. I'm more of a Facebook person, and as far as the social media push right now, there seems to be a trend for people kind of coming back to Facebook. Or I don't know. I mean, the whole social media thing is one of those things that we all. It's a love-hate thing. I love to get on there and share, like our show that we're sharing right now on social media. I love to get on there and share things about my grandchildren. I put pictures of my kiddos up there, my grandkids, just so my mother in Kentucky can see what's going on with them. And so I love that aspect of it. So that's a wonderful thing that we didn't have when my kids were little. And so I love that, aspect of it. And I kind of wish it'd be more of that.
Me too. And I think that is wonderful. The thing that I find that seems to get worse as we move along, though, is the radicals on both sides. Mm-hmm. I feel like if you don't genuflect to them and concede to all their demands, you're just not good enough, and they're going to try to destroy you, whether they're on the left or right, whether it's the LGBTQIA crowd, the abortion crowd, or the extreme right COVID crowd, or where somebody gets shot in the head and it was COVID. I feel like we've gotten away from rational thought and the ability to disagree in a constructive way. Instead, I think people have tied their opinions to their identity, and if somebody doesn't agree, they feel like they're devalued and get defensive. And so I don't know. It's, social media, I think, has worsened our relationships. In America, we're so isolated and so lonely, and there's so many people struggling with depression. And we call it mental illness, but I really call it heart illness because I think it's more relational feelings of, abandonment and rejection and not fitting in. And social media just exacerbates that because not only does it destroy relationships, but we use it as a crutch to substitute relationships. And I've become aware of that in my own life. So this year I'm trying to switch back and invest in real face-to-face relationships again.
Right. So. And but you do have the aspect of being able to get a message out there, and that's one thing we were challenged at our congregation yesterday during our Bible class time. The challenge of what would happen if instead of putting up that we only put up things about the gospel. We just shared the gospel message and made sure people knew that all of us, our purpose here is to make disciples. Period. The rest of it is a side hustle. People talk about, hey, I got that little side hustle going. Guys, everything is your side hustle except seeking and saving the lost and making disciples. Everything else is a side hustle. And so if we pushed that out there and started really sharing that, what would it look like? And, I was talking about this Bible reading project that everybody starts this read the Bible in a year thing. And I've tried a couple of times, and my friend that comes on radio with me, Rachel Culver at Bethlehem Baptist, she put one together herself, and so I'm gonna try again. And so as I'm getting in there and making that a priority, I'm having to set other things aside, and that's a good thing. So I don't know, it's just reestablishing that fact that everything in our life is a side hustle, other than making disciples. So, Go ahead. Do you have anything to say to that?
No, I think you're right. right on target.
We're talking with Omar Hamada. He is a friend of mine, a Renaissance man. He is on call right now, so he may have to step away and take a phone call. So I'm not going to take my other break right now. I do have 2 more breaks I have to take, but I want to pose. I want to kind of turn the page back to the political stuff, because that's the reason I reached out to you. Is today is our political day. The second Monday of the month is when we do the political stuff and we check in with our representative, and we're switching. We've switched over, so we've got to make that a step. We got to make that connection with Dr. Green. So with the political fray going on, and knowing there's going to be very hard to get anything done, it's going to be really a stalemate for the next 2 years. Who do you anticipate stepping in and running for president? Is Trump running? I mean, has he said that? What do you think the political campaign is going to look like as we go into another presidential election? Have you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's too early to really tell, but I think there's no doubt that Trump is running. I think he is. I believe, has he not declared? I thought he declared.
He may have. I'm not 100% sure, but he, he's one of these that I don't know. I have not followed it close enough. Maybe he has. I'm not sure. Somebody will probably put up in comments if he has, but I guess I'm kind of assuming it too. Yeah.
I think he has. So, and actually, yes, Donald Trump did officially announce that he's running. And then some other people, I think, DeSantis, I think is positioning to run, and I think he probably will, regardless of whether Trump runs, because now I think he's gaining support, and more people are trusting him. I mean, we all love what Trump did, but not so much his bluster, so to speak. So I think that, there are a lot of people that are now, they see DeSantis as an effective Trump that can work across the aisles, but also has the guts to stand up for what he believes in. Some other, I think, Ted Cruz may step back in. I don't think that would be a successful race. Nikki Haley, I know we've been following for a while, who may step back in. Noem out of Dakota.
See, I love Kristi Noem. I really do. Yep. I love her. But anyway, go ahead.
I do too. She's great. Mike Pence, he is going to run.
No.
He hasn't announced, but I feel certain he will. Mike Pompeo, he is going to run as well. But I don't, he hasn't announced either yet. And there are many others. I think Rick Scott has been looking at it.
Really? Okay. I'm fascinated.
Mitt Romney,
yeah.
I don't know if he will or not.
No
Hopefully
way.
not.
Really? Mitt Romney, you think he'll throw his hat in the ring? And honestly and truthfully, as I look at some of the people, I'm like, really, you're going to run? I had some people say the same thing to me in regards to running for Congress. They're like, Laverne, you're wasting your time. It's like, no, I really feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. And you just never know what God's going to do. I didn't have the finances to run against the money. And that's unfortunate. You have to, you and I have talked about it. When you want to be a political candidate, and even on a local level, oh my goodness, the money that is spent in the counties to elect these seats, it's astronomical. And that's one of my biggest issues with this whole thing, because, I teased John. I was like, man, if I'd had any money, I'd have beat you, but, I'm just playing. But nonetheless, because I love him. He is a really good guy. But nonetheless, it's a money game. And that holds a lot of really good candidates out of the fray, because they're like, well, I can't get enough money to compete. So do you see any kind of a solution for that?
No, I think it's just going to get worse. I mean, we talk about buying offices, but I think at this point it is a money game regardless of which race you're in. I mean, it's a lot easier local, right? But we're seeing congressional races now that are $50 million races.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy. It is crazy.
Yeah.
But, Lee Marie has just posed a question for you, and I'm going to take a break and come back and let you talk about this. Just what's going on with this gender problems as a doctor, and do you have some words of wisdom for people who are working with kids on how to help them when they're being told that they need to go through surgeries and they need to do all these things early on? How, as a teacher, how do I navigate the waters? I have not had to face this yet, but I know at some point I'm going to have to help somebody that's really, and I've written a lot about this myself because I'm one of those I was a young girl who thought I should have been a boy, but I was a tomboy, and I was allowed to grow into the woman I was supposed to be. But it was way into high school before I felt comfortable, and I don't know, it's probably after that before I really felt comfortable with my womanhood, but I was allowed to work through it. And I can't imagine being who I know I was during this time period. So I'm going to have you talk about that when we come back, but I've got to get my breaks in. So I'm going to pause and talk about Barry and Rebecca Richards with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team, my friends in real estate. If you're needing some help in the real estate community, you need to talk to these folks, either side of the table, buying or selling, whether it's you just need some advice on financing and who do I talk to, what are the interest rates, they can help you out and direct you in the right way. Now, they concentrate, their specialty is Robertson County, but they buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky. You can go to sellwithbecky.com or buy, B-U-Y, robertsoncounty.com, sell with Becky or buy robertsoncounty.com, and connect with them through that, or you can just pick up the phone and give them a call, 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. Barry is the marketer. He can do it all, but that's his specialty. He was a vice president of a media marketing company for 17 years in Nashville, then went full-time with real estate. He'll do the drone footage. He'll do the walkthrough tours. He's a Zillow certified photographer. People, when they're flipping through the listings, your property is going to jump out at them because it's been photographed properly, and he's going to make sure that's done. Rebecca has been at this a long time, one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist. She's always studying, staying up to date on what she needs to do to make sure you're properly represented at the table. My friends, Barry and Rebecca Richards with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. When you contact them, please always let them know that U-Turn sent you. All right, getting back to the phone call with Dr. Omar Hamada. That's a big question that Lee Marie poses to you. What say you, brother?
It is. Well, I think you know my position on that.
No,
if a child...
Oh, no. Omar, call me back.
Thousands of
call
our
me
most
back, Omar.
precious treasures board a Robertson County school bus every
Okay,
school
hang on.
day.
We're going to pause
There are
here for a
nearly
second. I
100 buses
accidentally
running about 80
disconnected my
different
friend,
routes,
and I don't even know if he
delivering our
realizes it.
kids
So I'm
to
going to
their
get him to
schools,
hopefully call
their
us
field
back.
trips,
Good
and many
land. Oh, how y'all doing? This is 1100 WSGI. I'm U-Turn Laverne, and this is One Street Over. And we're going to hopefully get Omar Hamada back on here. I think there he is. All right, my friend. Here we go. Omar, you with me?
Hey.
I just accidentally disconnected you. I did not. So let's start again. As we were going to break just a minute ago, Lee Marie, she sent out a question and she said, you're a doctor and an OBGYN, as a matter of fact. And so we have all these kiddos that are dealing with this gender issue. And I know you have some thoughts on it. I know where your stance is on it, but how do we navigate the waters as a teacher, as somebody that's going to come in contact with this? What do I do? How do I help these kids and get them back on track?
Well, that's a hard question. We don't have to agree with somebody's position or whatever, we don't have to agree with them. But we have, I think, especially as a teacher in a place of authority, we have to love them. Mm-hmm. We have to guide them. We have to be a good example to them. So I think, how do we deal with this? I'm a teacher on a different. I've taught on a different level, in graduate school, but not in undergrad or high school or elementary. So I know those have particularly different types of challenges. So it's really hard. One of my things that I keep going back to, like with Vanderbilt, who have a pediatric clinic for gender reassignment and hormonal manipulation and all that. If a 10-year-old came in to a doctor's office and said, I want to be a pirate, or I am a pirate, are we going to, cut their leg and do an amputation of lower extremity and an enucleation of their eye, take their eye out and, put a patch on, because that's their identity, that they want to be a pirate. I can't think of anyone that would do that. We're doing worse than that by changing their whole hormonal axis and doing surgery on teenagers and possibly even younger to reassign gender based on their adolescent identity that we know will change over time for most of them. So I think that's not just unwise, I think it's criminal. And I think it's something that well, I can't believe we're not only doing it, but justifying it and celebrating it, and have entire departments at a major medical institution that's worldwide, that has worldwide respect, and we're actually supporting things like that locally. So it's shocking to me, honestly.
Well, and having somebody that has, I love Vanderbilt. That's where they've taken care of my husband, and and so it really hurts when you see that, and you're like, what are you thinking? And you just don't even know what to do with it. It just seems like we're living in some kind of a surreal existence right now. That this is something that would be embraced in any way. I truly, Omar, I was that kid. And had I grown up in this nonsense, God have mercy. I can't even imagine how I would have been treated. And, I keep going back to Romans 1:22. They knew God, they neither glorified him. They became, in their wisdom, they became fools. That's not, I think it's, although they claim to be wise, they become fools. And, it's just, oh my goodness. And that's where I feel like that we have gotten to as a society. And it's very hard to really know what to do. I think that's why I'm kind of doubling down myself in ministry right now. And you say you're writing some books. What type of books are you writing? Or is it more ministry? Is it medical? Where are you as far as what you're putting out there? I know you're always putting out spiritual stuff, and you're putting out a deep spiritual message all the time. But I am curious to see, what are you wanting to put out as far as adding to our literary
there are library? So many things. I've probably got 12 books in my head. So the first one sort of came about after that tweet that we talked about earlier in the program on abortion, and I got contacted by a Christian literary agent, the Fed agency, and she's actually Esther Fedorovich. She's in Texas, in Austin. She started off here in Nashville. Her husband was a youth pastor, and now she's down in Austin. But she's, I believe, the largest Christian literary agency in the country or the world, and she represents people like Jay Sekulow, like Tim Tebow, Eric Metaxas. Those are all clients of hers. So she contacted me and said, I want you to write a book, and they're helping you with it. I'm about 2 years behind schedule. But initially it started out on abortion, and now it's sort of expanded to include just life matters, like, physician-assisted suicide and euthanasia. And things like what's happened in Belgium recently, where the government authorized a 21-year-old girl to have physician-assisted suicide because of her PTSD that she was suffering from after witnessing the Brussels airport bombing a few years ago. And that was her complaint, that she has nightmares, hasn't been able to get over them. So they said, okay, you can kill yourself. We'll allow it. So stuff like that. And there's more to that, so I don't want to minimize it. But so looking at, life, what is human life and why is it important, and how are we managing, looking at the medical aspect, historical aspect, legal aspect, legislative, and then trying to come up with a solution for not just a Christian for the church, but also a pluralistic society like we live in.
Well, and I know that. Go ahead. I thought you were done. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say the second book is something different, but we can talk about that too.
Well, are you doing something about holistic medicine, possibly? Because I know that's a big drive for you.
Yeah, so that's another one that I will do, probably the third. The second, I was at a reunion, actually homecoming, for my, I went to seminary a while back, and I think what happened is one of my old professors came up to me and insisted that he write a memoir for me, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. But he's been very compelling, so we may bite that off too.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Well, see, I think that would be absolutely fascinating, because knowing a little bit about your life and your background, I'd read that. Your mom has a book that's fascinating as well, and you're an interesting family. And I tell you, just in the last few minutes, kind of unpack your background for folks so they kind of know your history, in case they want to check you out and learn a little bit more about what you're doing, and tell them how to find you, because we are kind of getting into the last few minutes. And I'll go ahead and let you kind of wrap things up and tell everybody a little bit about your background, how they can find you if they want to know more, and then we'll say bye, and then I'll do my last break. How about that?
Good, excellent.
Okay.
Because I have a call that just came in. I'll have to take, but I have time to do this.
Sure.
So, yeah, I think my parents were Lebanese immigrants. Dad came over first in the 50s, went back and married Mom. She came over in the 60s. Dad's family was one of, I guess, in Lebanon, one of aristocracy. We have titles there and all that stuff. I know that's sort of weird here, but his cousins, on his mom's side, his grandfather, then his uncle, his mom's brother, were leaders of the Druze religion, and it's sort of a secretive religion, about 1 million people worldwide, and his grandfather and his uncle were analogous to what the Pope is with the Catholic Church, where they were to the Druze. But when he came to the U.S., he became a Christian. Christ found him, and he was one of the first, I think, the first known Druze convert to Christ, which incidentally, they've done genetic analyses, and the Israelis believe the Druze are the lost tribe of Israel. And then also, which is interesting, you can go online and Google this on the internet, but it's pretty cool. The Shroud of Turin, whatever you think of it, whoever was buried in it and wrapped with it, they've done genetic analysis, and the closest matches are to the Druze population, which continue to be, a pretty purebred, isolated genetic population. So if that was Christ wrapped in it, in the physical body, then, they're saying that whoever was wrapped in that Shroud of Turin, genetic analysis is most closely identified with the Druze people, which is pretty cool. So, and then on my mom's side, she married Dad. They came over to the United States. I was born in Tallahassee, Florida, when Dad was in school at Florida State. And she came to Christ and was a strong believer. You know her. So that's sort of my familial background.
Well, tell people how they can get in touch with you if they want to hear more about the things you're working on and follow you. And because you always put great stuff up on Facebook, and it's always great to read. I've never found anything that you've put up that I didn't find interesting. So put it that way. How can people find you? What's the easiest way?
So I'm on Facebook, and you can do the Facebook thing, facebook.com/Omar Hamada, Hamada. It's like Ramada N, just an H instead of an R. Or Twitter, sort of the same thing, @Omar Hamada. And then at some point soon, I'll have a website up, omarhamada.com, and we'll be transitioning to that probably.
Very good.
So we'll see.
Outstanding. We wish you all the best, and give your best to your love, and we will look forward to see what's next in your life, my friend. I'm very excited.
I certainly will. Thanks so much. I've enjoyed this.
I have too. It's been fun catching up with you, Omar. And again, you're gonna be. I gotta get in touch with our new representative in the House, Dr. Green. And so if I believe I've got an avenue. Somebody passed his card to me, or a card to me, that I can contact his people, and hopefully we'll have him on. But if I hit any roadblocks, I'll be knocking on your door saying, "Hey, can you reach out to your buddy?"
Well, yeah, I'd be happy to connect you. That's not a problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely, my friend. Thank you so much. God bless you. Dr. Omar Hamada.
God bless you.
Our guest here on, thank you, Doc. I'll see you later, Omar. And our guest here on One Street Over this morning, and you can again go and follow Omar. He is I love in his intro on Facebook, he is a slave of Christ, a father, a paratrooper, a physician, surgeon, theologian, musician, writer, entrepreneur. Yeah, he's a Renaissance guy, and he's a lot of fun to talk to. And I hope you got some information that you might have needed politically from him. And again, that's pretty much the one time we do politics, other than covering the local stuff. With we do talk to Mayor Billy Vogel. We talk to our city manager Ryan Martin. We talk to Dr. Chris Causey, our director of schools, and all of those things. But as we wrap up the show this morning, I want to remind you again we're taking on a daily Bible reading program with the Bethlehem Baptist Church. Rachel Culver, she comes on the show at least once a month, and she put together a reading plan. And it started yesterday. Yesterday's our scriptures were Genesis 1 through 3 and Psalms 1. Today's are Genesis 4 through 7 and Psalms 2. So if you want to stay up to date, go Genesis 1 through 7 today and read Psalms 1 and 2. Tomorrow, you're going to read Genesis 8 through 11 and then Psalms 3. And I'm going to give you these daily readings every day. I'm doing it. I'm going to do my best to stay on track. I've tried this a couple of times and never made it through, but I'm going to do it this year. And there's a few little nuances too. Also too, she wants you to highlight. She does this thing called tracking words through scripture. So in the red, you're going to highlight every time you see the word seed. In blue, you're going to highlight every time you see the word water. Yellow is light and green is harvest. And you're going to have a lot of those in the creation story in the first part of Genesis. So red is for seed, blue is for water, yellow for light, green for harvest. It's kind of obvious, really. But anyway, those are the colors that you're going to be highlighting as she tracks some words through scripture, as she always does. But I encourage you to do that along with us, and I know you will be blessed. We're going to go out with our commercial for Cumberland Connect. I'm so close. I just know that I'm going to get a call just any day, or I'm going to get the email. That's how they're going to communicate with me that they're ready to come in my house and bring it in, because it's already on my utility pole. I'm so excited. If you are a Cumberland Electric customer, you're going to have access to high-speed internet, and it is going to change your life when it comes to being able to work from home. I was talking to some guys the other day, and every one of them I was talking to, all work from home now. That is crazy. So many of us are doing our work from home or trying to do work from home. The only thing I do from home is my photography, and trying to upload photographs with terrible internet is impossible. So I cannot wait. I have to come up here to the radio station and upload photographs and do the work that I do online, because my internet just will not work. I have AT&T. I'm paying $65 a month right now. My speeds are like 3.5. Terrible. Well, you're going to get a gig for $80 a month. That's 1,000 megabits per second. You got the same upload, download speed, no data caps, no throttling your speeds, no residential contracts. And one of the coolest things about this, guys, I talk about the $80 deal. That's what I'm looking for. But you don't have to go that route. Maybe you're somebody that's just, I can't afford high-speed internet. Yes, you can. They've got a special program for you. If you'll go and check it out at cumberlandconnect.org, and you may qualify for free internet. They've got a program to help you there, and they've also got a program for a discount, a deeply discounted version as well. So you can go in and fill out the financial forms, and you may qualify for that. They want to make sure everybody has access to high-speed internet. It's a utility now. That's why Cumberland Electric's gotten involved. If you're a Cumberland Electric customer, get ready. You got high-speed internet coming to your home. To go to www.cumberlandconnect.org. Put in all your info and find out when they're going to be knocking on your door. I cannot wait to hear from them, and I can't wait to talk to you guys some more tomorrow here on One Street Over. I think Dr. Chris Cosby's in tomorrow. I think school board's tonight, and then Dr. Chris Cosby will be in tomorrow. I think that's the schedule this week. But again, I'm still getting back in order from all the time off, and thank you guys for being a part of what we have here on One Street Over. God bless. This is 1100 WSGI.